When we think of the story of modern Singapore, we often picture its famous political leaders and the grand narrative of a nation pulling itself up by its bootstraps. But what if I told you there's a hidden chapter in that story? It's the tale of a handful of Jewish families who, after fleeing persecution in Baghdad, became the unlikely architects of Singapore's economy and society. This isn't just a story about finding a new home. It's the story of how they built one. We're about to uncover their incredible journey from 19th century traders escaping oppression to becoming some of the most influential figures in the nation's history. They shaped the skyline, supercharged the economy, and even led the country. Their legacy is etched into the very fabric of Singapore, hiding in plain sight, on street signs, in historic buildings, and within the halls of power. This is the story of the secret Jewish families who built Singapore. Chapter 1: The Escape from Baghdad and a New Beginning. Our story starts not in the bustling port of Singapore, but thousands of miles away in Baghdad. In the early 19th century, the city's ancient Jewish community faced intense persecution under the Ottoman governor Dawu Pasha. Facing extortion and violence, a small but determined group of Baghdadi Jewish traders began looking for an escape. Their gaze fell upon the expanding trade routes of the British Empire, which promised not just safety, but opportunity. Following the spice routes, many first migrated to India, setting up communities in Calcutta and Bombay. From there, they looked further east to a new British trading post established in 1819 by Sir Stamford Raffles, Singapore. The island was a magnet for migrants, a multicultural melting pot of Malays, Chinese, Arabs, and Armenians, all looking to make their fortune. The first official record of a Jewish presence in Singapore pops up in the 1830 census, which listed just 9 male Jewish traders. They were the pioneers. These early settlers were mostly Sephardic Jews from Baghdad, speaking Arabic and Hindustani, and they quickly set up shop in the heart of Singapore's commercial district, Boat Quay. They were part of a wider Baghdadi trade network connecting the Middle East to the Far East. Around 1840, key families like the legendary Sassoons saw the potential in this new port and established business interests, anchoring the community's future to the island. By 1858, this small group had grown to about 20 families, laying the groundwork for a legacy far greater than their numbers would suggest. Chapter 2: The Foundations of an Empire: Opium, Trade, and Real Estate. The path to enormous wealth in 19th century Singapore was paved with a controversial yet legal commodity: opium. The British colonial administration had legalized the opium trade, and it became a massive revenue for the colony. The Baghdadi Jewish merchants, with their trade networks stretching from India to China, were perfectly positioned to capitalize on it. Their warehouses lined the Singapore River at Boat Quay and Collier Quay, moving opium to huge markets like Hong Kong and Shanghai. Families like the Sassoons, sometimes called the Rothschilds of the East, built a huge portion of their fortune on this trade, creating a global empire. Business was a mix of formal contracts and informal deals, with some early records famously being jotted down on shirt cuffs. But these shrewd entrepreneurs knew that fortunes built on a single commodity were risky. They quickly started to diversify, and their chosen investment would permanently change the face of Singapore: real estate. As the city boomed, so did their property portfolios. By the early 20th century, the Jewish community, alongside Arab families, had become some of the largest private landowners in the city. No one embodies this meteoric rise better than a man named Manasseh Meyer. Arriving in Singapore as a teenager from Baghdad, he would become one of the most powerful figures in Asia. Through his company, Meyer Brothers, he dominated not just trade, but property. At the peak of his influence in the early 1900s, his holdings were so vast that it was said that he owned a staggering portion of Singapore's property. While opium provided the seed money, it was land that cemented the Jewish community's economic dominance and laid the foundation for their influence for decades to come.
Chapter 3: Manasseh Meyer, the man who built Singapore.
To really get the sheer scale of the community's impact, you have to look closer at Sir Manasseh Meyer. He wasn't just a businessman, he was a philanthropist and a builder whose legacy is still standing today. Born in Baghdad in 1846, he landed in Singapore in 1861 at just 15 years old and got his English education at the prestigious St. Joseph's Institution. After trying his luck in Calcutta and Burma, he returned to Singapore in 1873 to found Meyer Brothers, the import-export firm that made his name. His business sense was legendary, but it was his vision for Singapore that truly set him apart. Meyer's real estate empire was immense. He understood that in a growing city, land was the ultimate asset. He acquired huge swaths of it, becoming so influential that he served as a municipal commissioner from 1893 to 1900, where his expertise in property was invaluable to the colonial government. But Meyer was as much a philanthropist as he was a tycoon. He believed in giving back to the city that made him. A staunch supporter of the British Empire, he donated generously to the war effort during World War I. His most lasting gifts, however, were in education and religion. He donated a massive sum to establish the science building at what would become the University of Malaysia, a building that is now a national monument on the campus of the National University of Singapore. As the leader of Singapore's Jewish community, Meyer was also its greatest benefactor. He personally funded the construction of both of Singapore's historic synagogues. The first, Magain Aboth Synagogue, was consecrated in 1878. As the community grew, Meyer decided to build a second one. So in 1805, he built the stunning Chesed El Synagogue on his own private estate at Oxley Rise, initially for his family and other Baghdadi Jews. A fascinating story from 1920 gives us a peek into the life of the community he built. At his private Chesed El Synagogue, Meyer employed minyan men, guys paid to make sure the minimum quorum of 10 men for public prayer was always met. That year, they went on strike, demanding higher pay and their rickshaw fares covered. It's a rare, humanizing look into the internal dynamics of this powerful community. For his immense contributions, Manasseh Meyer was knighted by King George V in 1929. He passed away a year later, leaving behind not just immense wealth, but buildings, institutions, and a deep commitment to the city he helped build. Streets like Meyer Road are named for him, a permanent reminder of the man who built a huge piece of modern Singapore. Chapter 4. Shaping the Skyline and Society, Cultural and Religious Legacy. The influence of the Baghdadi Jewish families went far beyond business. They wove their culture and faith into the very fabric of Singapore. Their most enduring landmarks are the city's two synagogues, both of which are now gazetted national monuments. The Magain Aboth Synagogue, meaning Shield of Our Fathers, was built in 1878 on Waterloo Street. It's the oldest synagogue in Singapore and remains the community's main place of worship. Its construction was a huge step, moving the community's center from a small shophouse on a street, still called Synagogue Street, to a grand, permanent home. The second, the Chesed El Synagogue, or Grace of God, was finished in 1905. It's a magnificent building designed by R.A.J. Bidwell, the same colonial architect who designed the Raffles Hotel, and was commissioned by Sir Manasseh Meyer himself. Located near his home on Oxley Rise, this synagogue was basically his family's private place of worship, a testament to his personal wealth and devotion. These buildings weren't just for prayer, they were the heart of a vibrant community that managed to keep its unique identity while adapting to local life. The early Baghdadi settlers spoke Arabic and maintained their Sephardic traditions, but they also embraced their new home. A unique local custom, or minhag, even developed that allowed traveling to the synagogue on the Sabbath by rickshaw, a practical tweak for the tropical heat and the city's layout. This blend of cultures created a distinct community. They built their own neighborhoods, first around Boat Quay, then moving to areas like Dhoby Ghaut and Waterloo Street. They established their own Jewish cemetery and welfare homes,
creating a support system that ensured their traditions would last for generations. While later waves of Ashkenazi Jews from Europe would add to the community's diversity, it was these founding Baghdadi families who created the cultural and religious infrastructure that defines Jewish life in Singapore to this day.
Chapter 5: The Darkest Hour. By the late 1930s, the Jewish community in Singapore had grown to around 1,500 people, its influence and prosperity at an all-time high. But this golden age was about to come to a brutal end. In February 1942, the Gibraltar of the East fell. The Japanese Imperial Army occupied Singapore, plunging the island into 3.5 years of darkness and fear. For the Jewish community, the occupation was a catastrophe. As many were citizens of allied nations, they were immediately targeted by the Japanese authorities. With Nazi Germany as Japan's ally, an undercurrent of anti-Jewish sentiment put them in a uniquely perilous position. Many prominent Jewish men and women were arrested and interned as enemy aliens. They were held in the infamous Changi prison and the Sime Road camp alongside British, Australian, and other Allied prisoners. Families were torn apart, businesses were seized, and their grand homes were taken over. The Chesed El Synagogue, once a symbol of their success, was commandeered by the Japanese military and used as an ammunition depot. Life in the camps was a nightmare of hardship, starvation, and disease. Yet, even in these horrific conditions, the community's resilience shone through. In a remarkable display of determination, they managed to maintain kosher kitchens within the POW camps, clinging to their faith under the harshest conditions imaginable. The Japanese occupation was a devastating blow. Prominent community members like Abdullah Saleh Shukr, who had worked for Manasseh Mayor, died in captivity. When Singapore was liberated in 1945, the community was shattered. The war had not only claimed lives, but had broken the momentum of a century of progress. In the aftermath, many survivors left, emigrating to Australia, the UK, the US, and the new State of Israel. By the 1960s, the community that once numbered 1,500 had dwindled to just 450. It seemed like the story of the Jewish families who built Singapore was coming to a tragic end. Chapter 6: From Courtrooms to Corporations, the Modern Era of Influence. Despite the devastation of the war, the Jewish community's influence on Singapore was far from over. As Singapore moved towards independence, new leaders emerged who would shape the nation's political and financial future. The most famous was David Saul Marshall. Born in Singapore to a Baghdadi Jewish family, Marshall was a brilliant and fiery lawyer who became a leading voice in the anti-colonial movement. In 1955, his Labour Front Party won the election, and David Marshall became Singapore's first ever elected chief minister. His time in office was brief. He resigned after a year when negotiations with the British for full independence failed. But his role was historic. He lit the flame of independence and set the stage for the nation's future. He remained a major public figure, later serving as Singapore's ambassador to France for 15 years. The community's passion for justice was also embodied by Harry Elias, a top lawyer who, in 1985, founded the Criminal Legal Aid Scheme. This groundbreaking program provides free legal help to the poor, making sure justice is accessible to everyone, not just the wealthy. In finance, the community's legacy of leadership continued. Jacob Ballas, an Iraqi-born Jew who survived the Japanese internment camps, became one of Singapore's most successful stockbrokers. In the 1960s, as chairman of the Malayan Stock Exchange, he oversaw a period of explosive growth. He professionalized the exchange, bringing in strict rules that helped establish Singapore as a trusted financial hub.
Today, the Jacob Ballas Center and the Jacob Ballas Children's Garden at the Botanic Gardens are named in his honor. As Singapore's economy modernized, so did the community's entrepreneurship. Frank Benjamin, founder of F.J. Benjamin, pioneered the luxury retail scene in Singapore, evolving the community's merchant roots into a modern retail empire. From the highest office in the land to the floor of the stock exchange, the Jewish community continued to play a pivotal role, proving a remarkable ability to adapt and lead.
Chapter 7: Legends and Legacy – The Unseen Threads. Beyond the official history of tycoons and politicians, the Jewish community's presence is woven into the folklore of Singapore. These lesser-known stories show just how deep their roots go. One of the most charming, though probably untrue, legends is about the naming of Jurong, a major industrial area. The story says it was named for a Jewish magnate named Joe David, who ran an open-air cinema there after the war. Locals supposedly called him Orang Jew, which is Malay for Jewish man. Over time, the phrase is said to have morphed into Jew Orang and then shortened to Jurong. Historians have debunked this, but the fact that the legend even exists shows how visible Jewish figures were in everyday Singaporean life. Their legacy is also written all over the city map. Streets like Addis Road, Elias Road, and Frankel Avenue are all named after prominent Jewish families. Amber Road was named for the family clan name of Joseph Elias, and of course, Meyer Road honors the great Sir Manasseh Meyer. These names are silent witnesses to the families who built their homes and businesses on these very lands. The community's history also contains fascinating snapshots of their social fabric. After Abdullah Shukr died in a Japanese internment camp, his colonial bungalow on Wilkie Road was turned into a welfare home, and his estate was donated to care for the poor in Singapore, Palestine, and Baghdad, a testament to their global sense of community. This rich history isn't just in the past. Since the late 1980s, as Singapore's economy boomed, the Jewish community has seen a renaissance. New immigrants, including many Ashkenazi Jews and expatriates from Israel, the US, and Europe, were drawn to the city. Today, the community is a vibrant mix of old and new, with a population of around 2,500 people. The synagogues are active, and the Sir Manasseh Meyer International School ensures the Jewish culture continues to thrive for a new generation. From a desperate flight out of Baghdad to the highest levels of power in Singapore, the story of the nation's Jewish families is a remarkable saga of resilience, ambition, and impact. A community that was never more than a couple of thousand people produced the city's most powerful financiers, its most prominent property owners, and its very first elected leader. Figures like Sir Manasseh Meyer, David Marshall, and Jacob Ballas weren't just successful individuals, they were architects of modern Singapore. They built its synagogues, funded its university, shaped its stock market, and fought for its independence. Their legacy isn't a secret because it was hidden, but because it's been absorbed so completely into the Singaporean story that it's hiding in plain sight. It lives on in national monuments, on street signs, and in the institutions they helped create. The story of these families is a powerful reminder that history is often shaped by the few, not the many. They found more than just a safe harbor on a tropical island. They found a home, and in turn, they helped build it into one of the most successful nations on Earth. If you found this hidden history as fascinating as we did, be sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell for more stories that uncover the forgotten chapters of our world. Let us know in the comments which part of this story surprised you the most.